Use like To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, which is one that we'll teach, ends up being one that we're using that does also use that word.
Use what word?
The N word.
Can you say it?
I don't particularly choose to say
Then
it.
why is it being taught, printed, and handed? If you cannot even personally say it, how dare it be taught in your school to your students? The teacher went to my daughter and apologized to her. Who else did he? So we're here at Encompass Academy. Jalen goes to school here. She was given an assignment, called The Killers. Okay? The teacher gave my baby this assignment. It's called The Killers. Look at the picture on it. Okay? Inside this assignment, this word, all through the assignment, niggers, Niggers,
12 times.
all through my baby's assignment. The teacher handed this out to the classroom, then gonna look at my baby and say, "Oh, Jalen, I'm sorry." So we're up here at this school right now about to confront them over this. So y'all stay on the live. Let's see how this is gonna work out. I got a support team with me. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I can't accept this for my baby, and I'm her voice. So we on our way in. You come forward, just get straight to it.
Yes.
So they went for the last few days of school.
Okay.
I was stuck on how to handle this.
Okay.
My daughter came home to me, feeling a type of way, and said, "Mom, this assignment was passed out to me."
Okay.
And when I guess Mr. Casey handed it to her, he tells her, "Oh, Jalen, I'm sorry." So this is, I guess, why he apologized to my daughter. It's highlighted. I'm furious about it. I don't understand why something like this is being
taught. Is that your concern?
Is being passed out
to
students in the school. Now, if this is a story that needed to be taught in the world we live in, this word should have been edited out.
Okay, that's a fair. There's a It's got it does.
So you want to read it? Go ahead and read it. Read it out loud. Let's see what it says.
I prefer not to say that.
Exactly. And this is an employee at the school.
So so that you're clear and we're clear, honestly, this is part of several different curriculums out there. Now, what I would say to you is oftentimes they'll have the conversation. So it's used like To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, which is one that we'll teach, ends up being one that we're using that does also use that word.
Use what word?
The N word.
Can you say it?
I don't particularly choose to say it.
Then why is it being taught, printed, and handed? If you cannot even personally say it, how dare it be taught in your school to your students? The teacher went to my daughter and apologized to her. Who else did he apologize to? Is there another black student in your class?
And Dominic.
Probably apologized to Dominic. Anybody else? Why not? Because they are not of the African-American race. And he knows that that is an offensive word. That's why he apologized. This is wrong. This is wrong.
So from my perspective in the background of English, sometimes these stories are taught to talk about context and time and place and what was going on in those times and how we've come from that position to this position today. And maybe that's I'd have to have him in here to have that conversation, and I can set that up to talk to him. But my sense is, there are stories like To Kill a Mockingbird, which we will discuss because it does lend where were we then, the time period, the context of that time period to today. And this is a much older story.
Today, where we're still going through racism. Nothing has ever ended. There's been no change from when my parents were growing up to when your parents were growing up.
It's worse.
It's no change.
Right. And I don't disagree with that statement either. I think in the current political climate, that's what we're dealing with today.
So, and that's why in the world we live in, if it's To Kill a Mockingbird, this story, any other story, those type of words should be edited out and not used. It's offensive, it's racist, and it's wrong.
But at some table we have our group readings, and they say the word and they don't care.
It is in this story 12 different times. Can you imagine how my baby would feel sitting in the classroom with 10 or more students, sitting here and they're reading this? None of your damn business, Al said. Who's out in the kitchen? The nigger. What do you mean the nigger? The nigger that cooks. Come on now. Unacceptable. It is unacceptable.
Did you guys have I'm curious what the discussions were around the story afterwards. Was it to discuss some of these issues?
Yeah, but in the story, his name is Sam, and the ending says his name. The nigga is the Sam, you know. And you know, I think one of the questions was about Sam. And, you know, everybody was like, "Who's Sam?" You know. And then I was like, "The black dude, that's Sam." And it was like, "Oh, okay." And you know.
So that's what it should have said. The nigger word should have been edited out, and it should have said Sam every single time.
Right.
Not the nigger. Not the niggers in the kitchen cooking. Tell that nigger to come out here.
Right.
No.
There are ways around to teach.
I can't stand for
that
it.
way is completely unacceptable. Completely. I don't care if it's to teach. I don't care if it's to educate. It should not have been used whatsoever, period. It should have been, the assignment should have been taken out, or the words should have been taken out.
Education should have been
changed.
taught. In this world we live in today, class, we do not use this word.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to go around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so many other ways we could have went about this.
It is.
And when my baby came home from school and handed this to me, that's why it took me 4 days to come, because I was angry.
Yeah,
right.
And if I would have came on that day,
right,
Lord knows.
Right.
So I did the right thing. I kept my daughter home. I spoke to my parents about it, my family, and now we're here.
I'm very sorry.
It's still
that this has happened. That you're.
I'm ready to pull my daughter out of school.
Right.
I really would be disappointed if you did that.
I'm disappointed.
I understand. And what I can say to you moving forward is, I mean, from my perspective, I'm a white woman. Okay, I was a literature student. These are stories we grew up reading. I'm being perfectly honest, as did our teacher. And I'm going to say that I may not have the same awareness because I'm looking at it from a contextual, historical perspective. Of where the mindset. No. When we were learning about this and when these was happening, which is the 30s and the 40s, what that mindset would be. Now, you're presenting me with a very, not a different viewpoint, but just one I hadn't really thought about given my particular situation. Okay? And so it was not. I have a feeling that my instructor comes from a similar background that I did, which is we went to private colleges, we lived the white life. I'm going to tell you that right now. So when he's reading it, and let me tell you, that is not his mindset, which I think Jalen would tell you that he does not feel that way. But I don't think it didn't hit us the same. And we need to be receptive to that.
Absolutely.
And so I want to apologize to you for that. I would tell you that they are still teaching these stories, like To Kill a Mockingbird, without taking those words out today. Like that is a standard book that we're asked to teach. So
when? What year? What class? And I want him to hear my voice, and I want him to know, coming from us, how wrong this is.
Right.
And how I am a snap away from taking my baby out of this school and just keeping her home and homeschooling her. Because this, I'm lost. I'm lost for words. And you say it's been taught and it's being taught. When I grew up in school, I never, ever was taught anything like this. And my teacher never passed out an assignment that had a word like this in it. Black teacher, white teacher, Spanish teacher, I don't care. Never was I taught anything like this.
Right.
And I'm furious inside, and I hurt for my baby because she did not deserve that.
Right.
That other young man, Dominique, is that his name? The 2 black students in the class get passed this out and get told, I'm sorry. You sorry because you know it's wrong.
Right.
That's why you're sorry.
Right.
Because you know it's wrong. And if you are a teacher, you are leading these students. They are following you. And for you to think that this was okay?
Because it's a part of the curriculum.
I was talking about the country and how they were divisive and how there was this racial tension. And then we grow from that space, right? But certainly I don't want anybody to feel like they're being marginalized, and clearly that is what this story has done. So that's what we have to kind of work through. How can we have the discussion and move forward, not and recognize that some of these words, I mean, they're very hurtful words, and we've gotten to a place where we can't really talk about that piece, or how do we have it so that we understand that this is really, these terms are really intense and they incite feelings
It
that
just can't be used.
And I mean,
They
and-
can't.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. They just cannot be used.
Go to school.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, teacher got sick, you have to sub in. This is your assignment. Hey, students, we're going over our assignment. How would you read it?
I mean, I think if
What would you
first
do?
I have to read it first, and then I have to say, look, here's the deal. We're gonna read some really, first of all, I'd probably also send a notice out to you guys and make sure you were okay with it. Which might be the thing that would have, if you knew in advance and you could have said, oh, I don't know, no. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is appropriate for a reading that you guys are gonna do, or yes, I mean, teach this because we need to learn why this word has the power it has. It's very pejorative. And this is why people treated people this way, and they use this word as a slanderous word. I mean, I think if you had the opportunity to say that going in and say, I don't think this should be taught, or I'm bothered by it, and if you're gonna teach it, I would hope you would do it this way. You might have felt a little bit like, okay, I see. Because I think that is part of this. It's like, we need to learn why this word has the power it has, because it was basically slavery to a people.
So would you have done anything different? Or would you have stood up and read this assignment word for word with your class? And would have had to say the word nigger?
I mean, I don't think I could have said the word. I mean, to be perfect.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's
You know,
not a
it's-
word that I would probably have read up to it and kind of moved
And
on.
skipped on.
Yeah.
I
Just
can
because
say
I would
that,
say, yeah.
I used to be the social studies teacher, and
Yeah.
a lot of the materials that we get from like Stanford or those kinds of places, or the DDQ projects, they do edit out the word because it does appear in primary sources,
Yes,
and they
a
put
lot.
stars or
Yeah.
something like that, so you know
I'm
what's
okay with
there.
stars.
What I will say is that it's always something that we have conversations about in my
Yes.
classroom. Or the same thing when we're reading about World War II and they use a derogatory term for the Japanese or something like that. It's something that always has to have a conversation with it, so that students understand that this was the time period, this was what they thought was acceptable. It wasn't
it's
then,
not.
and it's not now.
And
Right.
this is why the stars are blanking the word out, students, because it's not okay.
Yeah,
And we move on.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, in this case,
That did
that did not happen.
yeah.
So now we're here. So,
And I,
Can I
again, I
say too?
appreciate you guys coming. We
Yes.
can't understand the world and the context in the same way that
No.
you do.
I would
I'm
tell you
sorry
he's
for
a
that.
first year teacher who's learning.
okay.
And I would tell you that certainly he's not trying to be offensive, he's trying to do the best he can. And this is great feedback, and I would love to have him have a conversation with you, because I
Okay.
think your perspective will be eye-opening to him, you know? Especially, and I think he would be sad that he's offended you, so, like, I don't think that was ever the intention.
I think
Um,
also you guys will give him good feedback
Yes.
about how to handle things like this in the future.
Yes.
You know, it will be a valuable lesson for him, and he'll learn about starring things out or having those conversations with students
Yes.
before going into readings like this, so they know.
And if me coming here today and having this conversation with you guys can make that change for the future, then my job is done.
I think it can. I absolutely think it can.
And I will talk with Jalen, and I will talk with my family
Mm-hmm.
to see how comfortable she is to stay in this school. And we'll have that meeting with Mr.
Absolutely.
Casey.
Yeah, I'll have to
And-
let him know. Yeah, what is your schedule?
Or
Is your email in the system
my
correct?
email is in the system.
Okay.
Mhm. So you can send me an email, and yeah.
I think in so many ways, I mean, I'm really sorry that it got to this point.
Thank you.
And please know that, like, I remember when we met on our first meeting,
Mhm.
we were like
Mm-hmm.
on it. And I love your daughter. we had a 2-hour conversation on Friday, right? Just learning, and she wrote a beautiful letter.
Yeah,
And I know you guys are doing great stuff.
yeah.
And please know, we're picking teams. That's my kid right there. She was one of the first ones because I just think she is the cat's meow.
Yeah, and that's why I was disappointed when I got that
I understand.
voicemail about Jalen going up there, and I said, you made the wrong choice, and we got into big old thing, and said, come on,
She's a leader. Your daughter's a
Uh-huh.
leader. She is. And so
I
that's
was
one
in
of the
her
things.
Hobie interview, and you had a great interview, Jalen. And you're full of resilience, and you recognize when you've made mistakes, you own up to them.
Yes.
And I've seen that just so far, knowing you for a couple months. And you are a leader. I think you don't realize your power yet.
Yes, I would agree with that statement. Okay. But
Okay.
thank you.
Jalen, I'd also love for, if your mom is comfortable with it, for you to sit in on that meeting with Casey, or maybe
Yes.
mom and Casey start and then you come in, because I think he'd love to apologize to you
Yes,
too.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, so yeah, let's get that set up, and then,
Do you work, maybe